All right, everyone. Thank you so much for being a part of the 2025 kickoff meeting. We really appreciate you all being here. And with that, let me go ahead and just hit start on my presentation here and properly start the meeting. So, first and foremost, like I said, welcome to the 52 Hype Challenge 2025 kickoff meeting. It is a true honor and pleasure to be able to give me one sec. It looks like we have quite a few people in the waiting room according to my notice here. So give me one second while we let everyone in. Okay, so welcome everyone to the 2025 52 Hike Challenge kickoff meeting. It is a true joy and pleasure to have you all here with me today so that you can get started on the right foot and be successful on your 52 Hike Challenge journey. My name is Carla Amador. I am the founder of the 52 Hike Challenge. I'm not going to get into too much of the detail of how I started the challenge because we have a lot to cover today. And I really, truly want to give you all the time you need to get the resources so you can succeed. However, I want to start off by really thanking our sponsors that make this challenge possible. Starting off with REI, the outdoor retailer of the 52 Hike Challenge, followed by Obo's Footwear, and Skip, who is here with us today. So we're going to start off with Anna first. She's going to share a little bit about what she does. And as I mentioned, we really couldn't do this without the sponsor support. So please, thank you so much for being here, Anna. And after Anna is done, she will take questions and then we will move into the Hiking 101 portion of the presentation. So thank you all so much. Anna, let me go ahead and I guess my screen is moving really quickly. There we go. So meet Skip. It's the world's first powered clothing company. And without further ado, I am not going to talk much more about the company because Anna's going to tell you all about it as a founder herself. So take it away.
That sounds good. Thanks so much, Carla. Let me just share my screen if it lets me. Mhm. Can you guys see this?
I don't see it yet, but let me stop my share and see if that works. Now I could see it.
We're good? Cool.
Yep.
Awesome. Thank you guys so much for having me. Yeah, as Carla mentioned, Skip is a wearable technology company. We're all about increasing access to movement, increasing access to the outdoors, and it feels like this community and your guys' mission is, that Venn diagram of what we stand for and what we believe is almost fully aligned. So really excited to be here, really excited to meet you guys and learn more about your hiking journeys and challenges. I don't have a ton of content. I have maybe like 10 slides. I thought we could do a little bit of I could tell you a little bit about Skip, who we are as a company, and why we're building the technology that we're building. Do a little introduction to our first product, which is Mogo, specifically focused on hiking and helping people get into the outdoors. And then share a little bit. We've been doing a ton of testing. We announced our product last summer, have been doing tons of hiking around North America with all kinds of folks. So I wanted to share some of their stories and kind of bring to life a little bit of what we've seen out in the wild. And then just leave some room for questions. Does that sound good? Perfect. Um, all right, so I wanted to start with this quote, which was, in the early days when Catherine and I started Skip in 2019, I guess, so a little while ago. One of the first user tests we did was with this woman, Beth, and she had this quote that motion is the magic potion. And, at this point, it's been, what, like 5 or 6 years, and it still comes back to me all the time, right? I mean, I was an athlete growing up, I was a dancer. Movement has always been a huge part of my life and has brought me tremendous amount of joy. And it has also meant that I've had a lot of injuries and a lot of recovery journeys. I also have a kid, so I've gone through the postpartum journey. And so, it was really interesting to me when we were starting this project, this, the nature of movement and how it's this incredible force in our lives and it enables so much health and well-being and connection. And it's something we often don't think about until it starts to become a challenge, right? And so, it's also really hard. It was hard for me at points in my life. It's hard for a lot of people. There was a study, I think, or a report that the World Health Organization just put out that there's, I think, 3 billion people that find movement challenging on a day-to-day basis. And that's only growing as the population ages, right? And so, Catherine and I were really inspired by building products to help people move. And more specifically, there's all kinds of movement out there, but the outdoors in particular was something that we were really, really passionate about. For me, the outdoors was always a huge part of my life, and a big reason for that was my grandparents. Growing up, most of my favorite memories was camping and hiking and foraging for berries with grandparents and cousins. And, it was very marked how over the years, as they aged, those hikes got shorter. They started to turn back earlier. They started to stay at the trailhead, and then they stopped coming all together. And so for me, as we were starting Skip and thinking about where do we want to focus, where do we want to kind of really hone in terms of this wearable technology, the outdoors was something that I was really passionate about. Yes, we want to help people move and move more and move better and easier, but move in the name of having experiences that really bring them joy, right? Not just movement for the sake of movement. And so obviously I'm preaching to the choir kind of by virtue of the fact that you guys are all here today. But that's kind of, where we come from as a company. And so, there's a ton of mobility aids out there. We're not the first people thinking about helping people move. A lot of the existing solutions that we've seen and that we've tried, and, we've tried a lot, aren't super well suited to outdoor adventuring, right? Like they're limited by the kinds of terrain they can go on. They're not always the most comfortable, the most reliable, et cetera. And so they work great for some people. But we kind of wanted to build something that was a little bit more well adapted to outdoor exploration. And so kind of the way we've been framing our product journey is building this new class of products that we're calling MoveWear. And their products, Mogo is the first of them, but we have a couple other things that we're working on, which are also really exciting. But they're kind of three things at the core, right? One is that they're wearable, and that means that they're hands-free. So your hands are free to do whatever you're needing to do in the moment as you're outdoors, right? They can go on any terrain, anywhere your legs go, these devices can go. And they also, by virtue of being on your body, are really good at learning over time. So as your gait changes, as your preference changes, they can adapt, which is something that is pretty unique, I think. The second point is that they're powered, right? And so there's a lot of wearable technology out there. I'm wearing an Apple Watch. I'm sure most of us are wearing some form of wearable tech on this call. A lot of what we have today is things that track, right? They'll tell you how you're doing, how much you're moving, what you find challenging. The technology knows a lot, maybe too much in some cases about our day to day, I think, and how we're moving. But it really focuses on motivation, whereas MoveWear is really all about actually also increasing our ability to move. And so there's integrated motors and everything that we're building to actually help you move better, easier, and kind of support you in that movement, not just tell you kind of how you're moving. And then the third bit is kind of, we like to say that it's sort of like designed for the missing middle. If you think about wearable tech, I don't know how many of you have heard of something like exoskeletons, for example, right? Those are products that are wearable and that they're powered, but historically they've kind of done two things. They've either been designed for athletes and very able-bodied people, so like soldiers, for example, big bulky machines helping you carry heavy loads, something that a normal person in their day-to-day like would have no business wearing. Or on the other end of the spectrum, they're very medical, right? So they'll help someone who isn't able to walk independently walk, which is amazing. But again, very much outside of the realm of something that kind of someone who is able to walk but just needs a little boost would require. And so we're kind of focusing on that middle part, right? So things that an everyday consumer would want to put on and wear day to day as they go adventuring. And so these are things that are lightweight, they're comfortable, they're good looking, they're durable. They're very much kind of clothing first and technology second, as opposed to the other way around. And so kind of the other way of thinking about it, it was really striking when we were in the early days doing research. So many people, we heard time and time again, they were like, I would never use a cane, but I love my hiking poles, and they would use their hiking poles to go to the grocery store and to go do everyday things. And so kind of our design philosophy as we think about products for the outdoors and increasing access is very much kind of gear focused. And so the first product that we're launching, we announced it in July, is called Mogo, which stands for Mountain Goat. I don't know if you guys know Arc'teryx, but they are our design and manufacturing partner. And so the way it works, and I actually wish I kind of like ran in here from a previous meeting, so I didn't have time to grab it, but maybe I'll grab one later if there's time. Essentially, the core of the product is the motor. So there's a little motor at each knee, provides assistance, right? And so on your way up the mountain, it provides a boost that's equivalent to like about 40 to 50% of what you would normally be able to generate with your quads and your hamstrings. So it very much feels like someone is kind of walking behind you and pushing you under the butt if you've ever done that. And every step offloads those big muscle groups. And then on the way down, it provides support for the knee, so that your trailing leg, instead of supporting your entire body weight, every single step you take, is supported by that motor. And so, we get a lot of questions of like, is this going to walk for me? So it's very much not, like the analogy we use is it's like an e-bike, not a motorcycle, right? Like you're still doing the work, you're still taking the steps. And it's really very much about supporting as opposed to replacing. The second bit is, so there's electronics. All of this is powered by a battery, of course, as you can imagine. Inside the pant, there's a couple of cuffs, so carbon fiber cuffs kind of at the thigh, at the shin, and at the ankle. And so even though the pant looks very much like sort of just a normal pant, right? Inside, there's 3 cuffs that kind of gently get tightened and hug your leg. And that's what actually transmits the force from the motor into your leg. So it's not just flopping wildly side to side, but it's actually moving your leg on every step. And then, of course, inside there's a lot of sensing, right? It's funny, a lot of the time when people see this product, they really hone in on the visible parts, so things like the motors and the batteries. But so much of what makes this feel useful and not jarring as you walk is that the device, every step you take, is trying to sense, are you changing direction? Are you accelerating? Are you going up or downhill? And based on that knowledge, kind of interprets what kind of assistance would be most useful to you at that time. So that's kind of what it works. It's really designed for people who want to keep exploring, right? And so we've had a lot of pre-orders. We had some hypotheses for who this would be useful for. Now we've tested it with hundreds of people. And so I would say generally it's designed to help 2 buckets of folks, right? One is knee pain. We've worked with a lot of people with, I'm sure a lot of you guys have been on the knee pain journey. I know I have, and knee pain takes many shapes and forms, right? It's not easy to bucket, but, we've had folks with, who are recovering from knee replacements, successful and not. We've had folks that are not good candidates for knee replacements, a lot of young folks, like ex-athletes who are just too young to get a replacement. And so they're waiting, for 10, 15 years before they're eligible. Knee pain of various sorts. And then the second bucket is sort of like a more general kind of like muscle weakness, cardiovascular fatigue. You get out of breath, you get tired, your muscles get weak, you're not able to go as far or as long as you were previously able to. So that's kind of who we're working with. Like I said, we've hiked with, actually, I think it's closer to 300 people in Mogo last year since we announced the product in July. We launched it at the Arc'teryx Academy up in BC near Whistler, and then we've kind of slowly been making our way across the Western US. We did a little bit of hiking on the Appalachian Trail, but our goal this year is to get out to more places with more folks. Yeah, I mean, it's been a really fun, we've been working on this for 5 years at this point. So it's been really fun to finally have it all out in the open and be working with real people and hearing real stories. I put a little video here. It's about a minute. I thought it might be fun just to bring to life some of the recent folks that we've hiked with and kind of like the impact that it's had.
I can't believe it. I can do this.
Can you hear this?
And it's too cold.
You've done this trail
No,
today?
no. To be able to come back to full activity with Mogo is a miracle. I mean, it's like, I can't believe I can do it.
Yeah.
And to be able to do it both going uphill and especially coming down, which is my greater weakness, is incredible. It's just great to be back outdoors and back into life.
That was amazing. I mean, I couldn't have done it without them.
I normally wouldn't do a hike like this, especially with the number of stairs that are here. But with the Mogo, it gave me just enough input that I did not have knee pain.
The last time I just finished doing a hike much shorter than this, but I had to use the poles, right?
Yeah.
It was just too painful. I didn't need the poles at all the way down.
Would not have done that like in this amount of time. Oh no, just definitely not.
I think
Decline, it's serious. Yeah. So I'm pretty amazed.
You turn it off and all of a sudden you realize, oh,
Okay. Maybe that's why I'm in front.
Yeah. That's why
I'm always in front.
It's always fun to hear real stories, so I thought I'd share with you guys. So yes, I mean, just a quick kind of snapshot of where we're at. What you saw is people hiking with kind of our current generation of devices. We're making a bunch of changes. Right now there's kind of a battery pack at the waist. We're removing that. It's all going to be in the legs. We're making some more changes to make it a little bit more comfortable and actually be able to fit more people. But we're taking pre-orders. We're starting to ship product at the end of this year. But anyone who reserves now would probably get theirs kind of early next year. And so it's $99 to reserve, $5,000 total, but it is eligible for FSA and HSA. So, that does make it a little bit more affordable. We're offering a $500 discount for 52 Hike members. So if you do decide that this is something that's interesting for you, and you want to think about it, the discount code is here, but I can share it out later as well if people are interested. It's just 52 Hike, and it's going to be valid for 1 week after this call. So yeah, I mean, that's it. And then the only other thing is we're also, like I was saying, we're doing pop-ups all over the country. We're actually kind of in the midst of thinking through exactly what our route is going to be over the next 12 months. And so if you're not quite sure that this is right for you, but you want to rent it or try it out for the day, feel free to apply. We've had a lot of interest. I think we were a little bit naive when we launched. We were just kind of letting anyone sign up. And then we quickly realized that wasn't going to work. So we're kind of taking applications. So if you're interested, check out our website, enter your information. And as we kind of figure out where we'll be, which months of the year, we're trying to make our way through the list and let people know so we can get as many folks in as possible. Yeah, I think that's all I got for you guys. Also just sharing our email. So if you have questions after this, or you have any follow-ups, you can either email the general email, or if you want to email me personally, it's just anna@skipwithjoy.com. Yeah, thanks for listening.
Thank you, Anna. And there was a question, and I have one other question. Do you have to do both knees? And I think that's actually an interesting question. So
That is a great question. I mean, technically, no. And we actually are going to provide people with the option to use just one leg when we ship the product. What we're finding is, and specifically people with knee pain ask us this a lot. They're like, oh, well, I only have pain on my right leg. Do I want it on both? What we found is when we give people the option to turn off the other leg, they still end up turning it back on. Because it just feels a little bit unbalanced, it's not like you're going around in circles by any means, but it just feels more natural to get that assistance on both sides. And so even though you might not have like acute pain on the other leg, just kind of for coordination and, for a number of reasons, people end up kind of preferring the assistance. But technically you can just use the one side if you want.
And my question is, the warranty on something like this. Like, let's say I'm like, I want my mom to hike with me, and I think this would help her, and I want to gift this to her. What does that warranty look like?
Yeah, absolutely. So the honest answer is we're thinking through that. It's going to be something standard to the outdoor space and to the like consumer electronic space, I would say. So like around 3 years, components and any kind of like defect will be covered. We're also, beyond just like warranty, one of our guiding principles is durability, right? Like this is obviously a very expensive piece of equipment. And so much like, an e-bike or a set of expensive skis or anything in that realm, like you want to make sure that it's not like the first time you like brush up against a rock, it gets bent or scratched. And so we're doing a lot of work. Actually, that's where the Arc'teryx partnership has been really, really useful to make sure that everything in terms of material selection and, finishes and all that stuff is very durable and also very repairable, right? So that if like your battery goes or a specific component goes, it's not like you're throwing away the whole unit. It's just very easy to disassemble and replace that specific part.
Wonderful. Thank you. Unless anyone else has any other questions, feel free to unmute yourself, or you can just type it in the chat. And we will then give it just a minute before we move on into our Hiking 101 presentation. But yeah, thank you, Anna. I really appreciate that. And it was really nice to see this helping people. And again, thank you for supporting the challenge in 2024 and this kickoff. So we appreciate you. And I think that's kind of it with the questions right now. But if anyone at any point has any questions for Anna, pop them into the chat. Anna, can you stay on for maybe like another 10 minutes and just answer back anything that comes up?
Yeah, of
Okay.
course. Yeah.
Awesome. And this will be recorded so that you can get that code. Maybe pop that into the chat so anyone interested may pull it off of that. Okay. Well, thank you everyone so much for being here. It's amazing, like I said, to see where everyone is joining from. We have 41 participants, so I'm really happy you're all here. And without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and start my portion of the presentation. All right, so let's kick it off by first, talking a little bit about what 52 Hike Challenge is and what you've signed up for. So it's our mission to empower you to take a personal journey to discover the physical, mental, spiritual, and emotional benefits derived through getting outdoors, either 52 times within a year or once a week within a year, if that works for you. Ultimately, it is our mission to hopefully get you to get outside and make this a lifestyle. And I usually start off by sharing a little bit about how the journey got started, but since we had a speaker earlier, I'm just going to jump right in because I want you to be successful on the journey. So I'm going to start off by kicking it off. I'm going to give you a little quick agenda, which I have to run backwards on. So we're going to talk about the 10 essentials today, clothing you might want to consider, footwear, day pack options, other essentials, some tips, and all the resources we actually have on our website. So let's go ahead and jump right in. So the first thing that you always should carry on all of your hikes, no matter where you're going, when you're getting started, are the 10 essentials. And basically the 10 essentials were created by the mountaineers, and they wrote a book called The Freedom of the Hills. And in this book, they talk about these 10 items that you should always carry when you're going to be out in the backcountry and out hiking. So these are really items that you should always carry with you and get comfortable with. So let's start off by talking about navigation, which is your map and compass. Nowadays, with all of the technology that's available, it's so easy to download an app onto your phone that has a way of navigating outside. And we'll talk a little bit more about what options you have. But really in the past and even today, we highly recommend that you get comfortable with looking at maps, even consider taking a map and compass class, because that really is going to ensure that in case of any sort of emergency in the outdoors, you know how to navigate your way back to the trailhead and to your car. So that's really key, is always have a plan, know where you're going, print out a map beforehand if possible, especially if you're going in the backcountry, and having some way of navigating, whether it's on your phone, and having some redundancy. And that's where the map and compass truly comes in. Whenever I've done hikes in the backcountry, I will always print out a map, and I actually highlight my route, and I carry that in a waterproof like Ziploc bag in my bag. And that's kind of my backup in case something happens to my phone where I've downloaded, the map, and like I could lose my phone or my phone might die. So you always want to have some way of ensuring that you know how to get out safely if you needed to. Sun protection is really important. As you all know, the sun is fabulous and gives us vitamin D. However, it is important to still take care of your skin and your eyes. So making sure you have sunglasses, sunscreen, lip balm is a must for me personally. But just making sure that you take care of your skin when you're outside, especially if you're going to be getting outdoors a lot. Making sure you have plenty of insulation. So that's going to be your jacket, that's going to be like any extra clothing that you might need. Sometimes when you're out in the mountains, it could be a sunny day out in the city and you go up in the mountains and it is much cooler. The weather can change drastically. So making sure that you have a way to layer up is really important. You always want to carry illumination, which is some sort of a headlamp or a flashlight. For me, I just personally love carrying my headlamp. And don't forget to check your batteries or change them out every couple months just so that they're always They're always fresh, or keep an extra in your emergency kit, which is one of the 10 essentials. So first aid supplies. I usually keep my extra batteries in my little kit, but making sure you have your basic things that you might need for a hike, Band-Aids, some sort of ointment, alcohol pads, even pliers for removing ticks is really important. I've actually, unfortunately, had a situation where I had to pull a tick out, and I am very grateful I had those little pliers with me. So, in addition to that, you're going to want to have some sort of way of, this is if there was an emergency and you had to stay in the backcountry overnight, that have a way of creating a fire. So having waterproof matches, lighters, some sort of kindling, etc. And there's a lot of kits out there that you can purchase to ensure that you have this fire kit. Some sort of repair kit and tools. For me, I love my Leatherman. That kind of includes everything in there. It has scissors. It has, it has a little scissors, and it has a knife and all of that. So that's a really good one to start with. Always carrying nutrition or extra food. For me, I like carrying bars. But everyone is different. I have friends that do not like bars, and they bring tons of nuts and dried fruit. Also, depending on how long you're going out, I personally like to always pack a sandwich, extra food, just to it's one of the best things that I like doing on a hike, is kind of getting to my viewpoint and then taking out my lunch and enjoying it outside. Definitely always bring plenty of water, and kind of a good rule of thumb, and this is water is weather dependent. So you want to carry at least 1 liter for every 3 miles in mild temperatures. If it's hot where you live, or you're in desert type conditions, that drastically changes. So make sure that you get, always carry enough water, and even more, because it's always better to have extra than too little. And then obviously you should always carry some sort of emergency shelter in case, again, there was some, reason that you had to stay outside for a night. That includes some sort of a garbage bag. They have these mini, I'm drawing a blank right now with the name of it, but you can buy these little, they're these little blankets, space blankets. And then there's these little small tents, the bivy, that's what it is. A small bivy that you can pack into your first aid kit. So I have a medium-sized kit, and I have a really small one. And in my medium kit, I actually have that small bivy. It's small enough, it's packable. And I actually will say I've had to use an emergency blanket before when the temperatures turned really quickly on a mountain, and I was like, I am not warm and I need extra insulation. And so I actually have had to use that before. So never underestimate carrying these items in your backpack. You're going to be happier that you had them rather than wish you had them. Okay. The next thing we like to teach is all about the kinds of materials you're putting on your body when you're getting outdoors. Definitely want to stay dry in all conditions. So try to avoid cotton. Okay. Cotton retains moisture, and you really want to stick to moisture wicking synthetic fabrics when you're outside, because you're going to be, at times getting warm, and you want everything to be moisture wicking. So it's not staying on your body, but rather pulling out and evaporating out into the ethers. So here's a good example of a layering system. This is an image of this gentleman here. You could see he has a bottom layer, a mid layer, then he has his top, it kind of like an insulated fleece layer, and then he has a puffy on top of that. So if he encounters any sort of conditions, he's able to remove any of those layers and get down to a place where he feels comfortable. And if he gets really cold, he can put all those layers back on. So just as you're thinking about layering, here's a good example of that. So as you're kind of thinking about how to layer your clothing, it's really awesome. It's a really great thing to think about, like for women, having some sort of a moisture wicking sports bra with underwear that isn't going to chafe, obviously, because you might be getting out there often and you want to be comfortable. So um, you definitely want to. So for the gentleman, this Ex Officio is a brand that I really like, and you can see these under. Hold on one second. Sorry, I'm trying to move something on my screen here. So these boxers are really great because Ex Officio actually has their materials not only are moisture wicking, but they're odor proof. And that's why I really like that brand. And then also, depending on where you are right now, I mean, some people are like, hey, I'm in an area where there's snow and I'm not sure I want to get out hiking. Well, guess what? You can go hiking, but you want to make sure that you have the right layers on. So in that case, you might want to look at something like these base layer, which is kind of considered like long underwear. But they have specific materials. You can do like a merino wool or some sort of synthetic that will help you to stay warm. And then you put your layers on top of that. And we'll talk about the main layers in a few slides. Okay, so here is an example of your main layer that you're going to wear on top of your underwear, right? Or the long underwear or base layers. So, for men, there's more of this technical pant, and women, I really like talking about these convertible pants. As you could see, you can turn them into shorts. So I find that having 1 to 2 pairs of really good technical hiking pants is good enough for me for like working on a project like 52 Hike Challenge. I love these because I can convert them into shorts. If I get warm on a hike, I just pull the pants off. And then if I need to put the pant back on, it's really easy to just zip back on. I find these also really great for traveling. So I really like that they're multifunctional and they look pretty good. So that's kind of what I recommend when you're starting off and thinking about like what you may want to save up for. It's okay to start off with, if you want to wear, something that's not as technical, that's fine. I just find that technical pants, as you continue doing your 52 hikes, might be something that you might want to move into as you continue getting outside. And then these are just example of some shirts that I recommend. There's so many different options with shirts, but these are usually like have SPF, sun protection in them. You can kind of convert them to shorter sleeves. They're convertible. They have air pockets. So these are just some examples. But again, there's been a lot of really cool products that have come out. I like now wearing sun shirts. They're really thin. They're great for the sun. They're great when it's cold. And then they usually have like a hoodie so I can protect my ears and my throat and my neck. So as I'm, getting a little older, I really want to take care of my skin. And so I like having that extra protection around my face. So these are just some ideas of shirts you can think about as you're planning what kind of gear to bring with you on the trail. Okay, let's talk about your mid layer. So this is really important. Your core, which is that area in the front, in your torso area, is what keeps you warm. So if you don't have enough warmth there, your whole body is going to feel very cold. So you want to make sure that you always have those layers. And one of the best layers you can have for your mid layer is actually a fleece. I actually have a Patagonia fleece. I just got down from the mountain actually today. I did an overnight and it was snowing. And I'm so thankful for this Patagonia fleece. It's super lightweight. If it did get wet, it will dry up real quickly. And it's very, very durable. I've had it for, I don't know, I think I've had it for like 8 years and it's still in great condition. It's very warm. Sometimes I can get away with just wearing that layer and my base layer and I feel great. Other times I need to put all of my layers on. But I like to go with something like that. Here's some options here. Obviously, this one has like a hoodie. This one doesn't. And then another option is some sort of like a fleece vest. So just make sure that whatever you choose, ultimately, it's something that makes you comfortable, makes you feel warm, but never underestimate the importance of a good mid layer and definitely consider a fleece or synthetic material. All right, let's talk a little bit about your shell. Okay, that's going to be basically that's going to be your top layer. So right now I'm showing you some shells that are, you can use these as your main layer. The ones I showed you earlier are more for like 3 season. Okay, so spring, summer and fall. And now we're looking at more of your winter wear in places that are going to face a lot of rain and snow. Okay, so there is a fabric out there called Gore-Tex. And if you're not familiar with Gore-Tex, it's a really cool material because it allows you to breathe. It breathes. So like any moisture is able to escape the material, but no moisture can come in. So whenever you're looking for really good clothing for that kind of condition, you will want to know that there are two things to consider: water resistant versus waterproof. Water resistant means that it will repel water for a certain amount of time, but it's not foolproof. So there may be a time where there's too much water penetrating and then your clothing starts actually leaking. So not a good situation if you're going to be in a lot of rain. So what you want to look for if you're going to be encountering tons of rain and you need good gear is waterproof. And that means, yes, it is going to probably be a little more expensive. But if you are in a place like our people who are taking the challenge in Washington, they always talk about the importance of having that waterproof equipment and gear. And the good news is a lot of this stuff is going to last long when you take good care of it. So yes, initially there is an investment, but it does last. And I've had some of these items, like I actually have these pants here. These are like a soft shell, and I've had them for years, and they've been super great with snow and rain, light rain. I do have a shell that I wear on top of that pant if there's snow. So you can look at wearing ski pants when it's really cold outside. These really nice pants here that I'm showing you, these kind of like soft shell, they're great for snow, and they usually have like a fleece lining, so they give you extra warmth. And then I usually wear another layer of those base layer kind of long underwear underneath that, and that keeps me pretty warm. And on top of that, I do add an additional shell when I'm in a lot of rain. So here are a couple of jackets. This is like another kind of like a soft shell, where this is more like of a waterproof rain jacket. A rain jacket is also a really good option to wear as a shell on top of all of those layers. When it's extra cold, you may actually want to wear a puffy jacket. So then you'll put on your base layers, you'll put on your mid layer, which is that fleece, then your puffy, and then you'll put on that top shell that is going to be water and wind proof. Okay. So here are some ideas on puffy jackets. I personally really like a puffy jacket that has a hood, just because I get extra cold, and covering my ears and my head really helps me to stay warm. And that's what I want. And I find that you can hike again in any weather. It's just having the right gear. Today we had snow coming down the mountain. It was beautiful. It was very chilly, but I had all of the layers I needed so that and as you're moving, you're creating heat in the body. So, you can hike in any weather. It's really, really fun as you keep going and you push yourself out of your comfort zone. You realize how much of it is really, truly just having good gear. So talking about other parts or other things you might want to consider are a really good pair of socks. And I really love Darn Tough socks. No, they're not a sponsor of 52 Hike Challenge, but I really do love their socks. The midweight is super, super nice. And they have a really great policy, and they're made in the USA. So I just want to throw that out there because I really like them and I've worn them for years, and they're just a great brand. But also there's like Smart Wool out there. REI has their own socks that I also wear when I'm out hiking. They have different levels. Like you can have a mid cut, more of a crew cut. And in addition to that, when there's snow, you can also use a liner, which is a little bit of this thinner sock that you can see here. You wear that before you put on your top layer, your main layer. And that also helps with, less rubbing, additional warmth. So when I did Kilimanjaro, I definitely wore 2 layers of socks. In addition to that, you always want to carry, especially in the wintertime, some way of keeping your hands warm, because that is really going to impact, how cold you feel throughout the hike. So I like to always carry a kind of like a mid basic glove in my bag and just kind of leave it there in case I ever get chilly. But once it starts becoming snow time, I really go for a mitten, because having your hands together actually creates more warmth than having them apart. Also, another note, same thing. If you're going to be in snow and rain, make sure your gloves are waterproof, not water resistant. And yeah, that's my note on gloves. You can always layer up on gloves. Also, you could wear like your mid inside of your mittens and have extra warmth in your hands. All right, I'm just going to take a quick sip and take a look at the chat in case I'm going to take questions at the end, because there's always a lot of questions and good comments. All right, headwear. So talking about gear, and like I said, I was just coming down the mountain. It was really chilly. I had a beanie on and I had my multifunction headwear on. And so that's something like, there's a brand out there called Buff, but there are many brands that make this multifunctional headwear. And I love this piece of gear because you could use it for so many other things. I do wear it on my neck personally because I have a turtleneck on now, but I'll give you an example. I'll pull it up to my nose and my ears, and it actually keeps me extra warm. And then I have my beanie on. A lot of times I have worn it kind of like an earmuff headband. I use it to sometimes even wipe my nose when it's really cold. So it really truly is and has a lot of uses. I'm not going to get into all of them, but I do highly recommend that you get yourself one and always keep it in your pack, because if that cold comes in and you get really cold, this can really help keep your ears, your nose, and your neck warm. So yeah, having something really nice for your hikes, like a beanie or headband or this multifunction headwear, is really a great piece of gear. Okay, footwear. So I'm going to give you, these are some kind of like ideas for hiking in snow conditions. As I mentioned, Oboz is one of our sponsors, so I do have their 2 different pairs of footwear here that you could kind of look at. I actually own both of these, and I actually wore these on the trail today. They are really flexible and great. They're waterproof, they're insulated, so that helps for keeping out water, keeping out snow. I do wear gaiters. I'll talk about that in a little bit. And also, if you already have your own hiking boots, you can actually add waterproofing to them. So there's a company out there named Nickwax. We've worked with them before. They're really great. I've used them, and you can definitely re-waterproof your shoes. There's a specific method that you need to use. You need to first wash the shoe and then add the waterproofing. And that can help to help you get out there and keep water out. However, it's not usually as good as like having a new, sometimes the waterproofing, I think, eventually just kind of like wears out. And that's that DWR, which is called the durable water repellency. And so, at some point there is going to have to be a time where you probably have to replace your waterproof shoes, but this is another option that you can try out. And then, yeah, when you're trying on your shoes for wintertime, make sure that you try them on with your thick socks that you're going to wear in the wintertime, just so that you are comfortable and your shoes aren't too tight, which is the reason why a lot of people sometimes when they're first new to hiking, their footwear is too small, and you really need to give yourself some room, because as you're hiking, your feet tend to swell, and that causes people to lose toenails and all of that. So really important to get proper fitted, for your own, making sure that your footwear is going to fit you comfortably. Here's some other options. I like to hike in some sort of a trail runner type shoe. As you can see, I have these examples here. These are the Wind and Catabatics, but there's tons of other brands out there. These are just some examples. I like to wear something like this for like a smaller hike if I'm doing like 5 miles and under. But if I'm really going to get into something like backpacking or longer day hikes or mountain hikes with a lot of rocks, I like wearing more of a mid type boot because for me, I do tend to sometimes sprain my ankle, and this kind of helps. I feel more supported, and I feel like I don't tend to roll my ankle as much. So here are some other examples of footwear, and they do make a lot of these kind of more like I would call them like more like a trail runner type shoe, but now they make them like into small boots as well. So there's so many options out there. Find what works for you. As you know, we work with REI. They have a great not only can you go try on your shoes, and they have like a way to test them on this little rock where you can go up the rock and down the rock just to kind of see how your foot does on it. But they have a great return policy of they've kind of pared it down now, but you have a 1 year return policy. So if you take it out, doesn't work for you, you can return it. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, so because we are in the winter, these are some items that are really important to consider. So, microspikes. We are actually very thankful to Katula, and whoever's here today, I have a surprise for you. I'm going to be doing a raffle for a pair of Katulas, microspikes while we're on the call today. So stay tuned. I will actually run that when I'm done with the presentation. So stay until the end. And you will be entered. I'm just going to do a random number generator and call out whoever wins, and you'll email me to claim your gift. So yeah, we're really thankful to Katula this year. They've gifted us a couple of codes so we can share that with you all. And they are the creators and inventors of microspikes. And these traction devices really help to ensure that when you're hiking out in the snow, that you have traction so you aren't slipping in icy conditions, in snowy, very slippery, slick conditions. They have truly helped save me multiple times when I'm out there. And it's really interesting how one time I was just getting off the mountain. I was almost at the end. I took my snowshoes off and I hit a patch of ice. I didn't realize it. And I did have a small, not, nothing big, but it could truly be really a life-saving tool. So if you're going to get out into the mountains, always carry microspikes. And if you want to get out for additional adventure, you could consider snowshoeing, which these are examples of what some snowshoes look like. I personally own these, but there's a lot of different brands. And these are great for when, this is when you're out hiking and you're like kind of sinking into the ice or not ice, but into the snow. What you really need, you can go out into those conditions. When you have this product, this piece of gear here, you really kind of glide. It's really cool to see. So that's another activity that you can add to your list of things you can add to your challenge. So, and also REI does do classes. So if you want to take a class, check that out. Okay, so other things to consider. These are gaiters. I wear these in the snow. They help to keep ice, rocks, snow out of the inside of your shoes and your clothing. So make sure that when you put these on, if they have any sort of like little buckles, that the buckles are facing the outside. And they usually have a way of like clipping onto your shoes. Great piece of gear, but also they have now gaiters for people who like to go fast and light and keep rocks and dirt out of their shoes. So there's lots of options, but really cool piece of gear. Make sure to take care of your eyes. So having polarized sunglasses or glacier glasses. And then when you have trekking poles for the snow, make sure that you transition or make sure that you have snow baskets. And that's going to help the trekking pole not to basically post hole down deep into the snow. That will help you to stay up and up over the surface of the snow with your usually your snowshoes, etc. Okay, some other things that you might want to consider is how you're going to carry your water. I like to personally use hydration reservoir. Some people don't like them. I like to wash mine every couple of uses. and then, or a water bottle or a mix of the two. So for me, I always carry the reservoir, and then I'll do something like my Nalgene here that I have with full stickers. Hopefully you could see them. And I like to carry my electrolytes in this. And I actually have electrolytes from my overnight trip, just to ensure that I'm always replenishing my own vitamins back into my body, my own salts. Yeah, some people like to carry a water filter for an emergency. Sawyer is another great brand we've had the pleasure of working with in the past, and this flow filter, this squeeze filter, is really great. It's lightweight, and truly just really easy to use. So also in the wintertime, you might want to consider hand warmers. So no shame in that. Okay, so with all the stuff we've talked about, you're going to need a way to carry it. You need to have some sort of a day pack or backpack. These are just some examples from REI. There's a Flash 22 here. That's a very kind of starter entry pack. I own both of these types of packs. The Flash 22 is really great for smaller hikes. You're going for the day, maybe you're going for a 5, maybe 8 mile hike. You're packing a lunch, some layers. But if you're getting into something like snow hiking, you need to bring a lot more gear, like those micro spikes or the snowshoes. You might want to look for something more sturdy like this Trail 40. All right, moving on. I want to try to, get done in the next few minutes. So, and I want to get you as much information as possible. So again, having some form of map, compass, GPS unit. As you can see, I have a Garmin here. This is really great. I always say if you're going to do 52 hikes, your family is going to want to know where you're at and that you're safe. This allows you to communicate in case of an emergency. You can also send out a signal and be found, essentially. I personally own a Spot device, and it works okay. I do eventually want to get a Garmin, but for now the Spot works fine. It's got a fee. Both of these have a fee. You pay, I think it's like $150 that I pay for the Spot device. And basically I just put my contacts in there and they'll get an okay message when I get to my destination. And I have an option to call for SOS or send out a help signal to my family members, and it shows them where I am on the trail or wherever I would be located. Other options and ways of not only navigating but tracking your hikes is, something like a Garmin watch, an Apple Watch, and etc. And then I really love All Trails. No, again, they're not one of our official partners, but it's just such a great way to get out there, find hikes, learn how to use the program. There is a fee to use it every year, but it is so worth it because you can download maps onto your phone and use the maps offline. So you can use All Trails for free as long as you have Wi-Fi, you're good. And also I just found out that iPhone has now added maps to their phone, but same, right? You don't have reception. Those options may not work. So that's where having a map and knowing how to use that, or going to parks that have really well-marked trails, come in to play. Okay, we've talked a lot about gear. Now let's talk about snacks. Type in your favorite snacks in the chat box, because I think you all probably want to share some fun things you do. I personally, I'm so boring. I simply stick to bars and nuts and dried fruit. It's just super easy for me. But there's so many other options, so I'm not going to go into too much detail. I will say that if you're hiking in the snow, like today on the way down, my hose started freezing. So you can buy like insulated additional products or pieces of gear that will stick to your reservoir. That there's like a hose cover. It's an insulated hose cover, and that will help so that your hose doesn't freeze and you're not able to get water, because it can freeze when it's really cold out there. So you can carry a thermos with warm drinks, but always have at least some way of keeping your water warm. Another idea or another tip, you can keep your Nalgene bottle. Of course, you want your Nalgene bottle to be, really, really tight and the lid on, and you can carry it upside down, and that'll help so that it doesn't freeze in case it's really cold. Okay, so tips. Stay on established trails. pay attention to your intuition, instincts, and surroundings. So if something's not feeling right, just, turn around. The mountain will always be there. The trail will always be there. I do think there is something to that. So tell someone where you're going, when to expect you back. My son, I have him, he and I share locations, or I share my location with him. So he can at least see where I last, left my car, where my phone was last, had activity. Also, I do on trips let him know, like, here's my itinerary, here's when I should be expected back. I try to give him as much information as possible. Also, carrying some sort of a GPS, like I said, especially if you're going to keep getting outside, I think it's really good to invest into that. Doing your planning and research before you get out on the trails, going online and finding out, is this trail open? Calling the ranger station. That's why I always talk about, like, it's nice to go to parks that are, established state parks. They're usually very well, they're not only established trails, but they're really well, there's a lot of signs that will help you to navigate yourself. There's usually maps at the trailhead. So don't underestimate planning. It's really important to do that due diligence. The last thing you want to do is want to go do a trail and then find out you needed reservations. A lot of trails have gone to a permitting system, or maybe the trail is closed. So do that due diligence before. Maybe what you do is you start planning on Monday before your hike for that weekend. Or a really great tip is have 5 go-to hikes. So if something doesn't work out, you at least know, hey, these are hikes I can always turn to if my plans don't work out. Clothing, making sure you know the weather so you know what to pack. There's a really great resource, mountainforecast.com. Actually, that will tell you as you're going up the mountain. You can type in the actual mountain if you're going to be hiking a mountain, but it'll tell you the exact conditions as you are going up in elevation. And it's just such a helpful, very reliable source. So doing your due diligence there is really important. Making sure to check the conditions, avoiding avalanche areas, especially if you're new to hiking, and that's anything above a 30-degree incline. Of course, taking classes like this one today, taking wilderness first aid certification. REI hosts tons of classes, taking a map and compass. There's the Sierra Club, tons of resources to continue your education as you're getting outside. And of course, talk to your doctor. Don't be afraid if you're slow. That's okay. This is hike your own hike. What matters is that you're getting out there. Don't be afraid to start in your local neighborhood. And don't forget to break in your shoes well in advance before you take them on a really long hike. So you don't really want to deal with blisters on a long hike. So one of the best things you can do is just start breaking them in around your house when you're running errands, and that good stuff. So make sure that you're even exercising outside of this hike challenge, going out to the gym and doing some strength training with weights. I think there's something great about all of that will help you to be more successful in all of the ways. And then don't forget, start off small. Start off with a 1 mile, 2 mile, 3 mile hike, and then increase your mileage and the elevation gain slowly. Like, don't start with like a 2,000 foot of elevation, 10-mile hike, and then find yourself burnt out or feeling unmotivated. You want to start small and steady and increase as you go. And it really makes the program that much better because you'll realize how far you've come as you train and you push yourself towards those goals of maybe you do want to climb some sort of a local peak. And please, 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 whatever you do, leave no trace. We are a Leave No Trace partner, and we absolutely believe in the principles. I'm not going to really talk about them now, but the main thing is please pack it in, pack it out. Please don't leave your trash behind. That includes doggy bags. We love our pups, but please don't think, hey, I'm going to come back and pick it up. just deal with it. Bring extra trash bags. I know it's stinky, but it's not fun. And we want to be stewards of the trail. We really want to respect that we are truly visitors here and we have so much to thank nature for. So do your part to leave it better than you found it. Be respectful, be kind, and respect others and wildlife. Okay, so we're almost at the end here. Just want to share, we have this website with tons of resources. The best place to go is up here at the top. There's a little link here called resources and tools. And there's even an education tab. So that is going to give you everything you need to be successful. Frequently asked questions, guide to the challenge, education, how to journal, track your hikes, find trails. There are so many resources here. The hiker education page has a lot of these videos, like the one that you're watching today, with a lot of other information. So check that out. It has a lot of resources. And if you want to track your hikes, we have tons of logs. Go to that resource page, download your log, keep track so that you know where you are in your hike challenge. We also have incredible amounts of leaders all around the nation leading hikes and events. And we have local Facebook chapter pages where you can join to find other local hikers, post your hikes. So much to be grateful for. And it's just an honor to see that grow. And I think we have over 35 chapters now, over 50 leaders. It's just been really cool to witness. And everyone is a volunteer. So please be kind and like someone else's post, help encourage others doing the challenge. It's such a supportive community and just such a joy to see you all post in your different groups. Okay, so final steps to success, set your goals, whether it's doing the 52 hike challenge, hiking a local peak, maybe it's going to Patagonia, maybe it's doing the Camino de Santiago. There are so many wonderful activities that you can do when you're out hiking. Make sure to get the proper gear, have the support system in place, whether it's your leaders in your chapter groups, or maybe it's friends that like hiking, or your family. Have some form of accountability. Let people know that you're doing the challenge. Tell them that you want to go hiking with them. Invite them to join you. We hear so many phenomenal stories of people that were like, I knew my friend was doing this hike challenge and I started joining them, and then I joined it, and now my family's joined and my friends are joining. And it's just been this really awesome, positive cycle of people helping each other to get outside. And then don't forget to use our hashtags on social. We love seeing what you're up to, and we want to encourage you to check that out as well and see for yourself what people are doing on their challenge. And then of course, this is a goal, right? And so don't be afraid to push your limits and celebrate your successes, no matter how small they are. And then when you're done, don't forget to pay it forward and bring someone out hiking with you. Tell them about the challenge. And I hope that you are successful and you enjoy this journey. And with that, our next meeting is going to be on Wednesday, March the 12th, same time, same place. And right now we do have a 2025 New Year's giveaway with a lot of really cool prizes. And I will put those links in the chat. And also this year, it is our 10-year anniversary, and we're celebrating in a big way at Ghost Ranch. We only have 2 dorm spots left. We have 10 camp spots and 1 RV spot. So if you want to come, make sure you reserve your spot ASAP. So I'll put those in the chat. And then without further ado, I'm going to open up for questions, but also I'm going to do my giveaway. So give me 1 sec. I'm going to announce the winner shortly here. And feel free to unmute yourself if you have any comments, questions in the meantime, and I will pop in the chat and also check to see what comments you all have. Okay, I have my winner. So let me announce that winner here. Okay, it looks like my winner is Mike at OC. Mike at OC, congrats. You won a Catula microspikes. If you please email me, hello at 52hikechallenge.com. I'll get you hooked up with those. So I will be doing giveaways at these meetings. So please join us for our next meeting. And in the meantime, I will go pop into the chat here and see what you all had to say. And someone said it's a good idea to take a picture of the trail map if posted at the trailhead. Definitely. That's a good backup always. A few other suggestions for essentials: a cell phone battery pack and charging cord, and a Kula cloth. Yes, absolutely, Melissa. And we do have a 52 hike challenge edition of the Kula cloth. And by the way, I cannot believe that I did not use a Kula cloth until like a couple years ago. And I was like, I can't believe that I don't know why I resisted it, but it's such a great resource, and such a great way to keep toilet paper out of the, off the trails. So highly recommend it. It's really not scary. You use it only when you pee, and then you wash it. So it's no different than your underwear, washing it. So hopefully you check that out on our website. Susie Johnson said feminine pads. Okay, so additional things to think about for the ladies. Absolutely. I think that's a really great thing to include in your emergency kit. So Marina said she really likes Darn Tough socks, lifetime warranty on their socks too. Okay. Steph said gloves she's had not good experiences. So yeah, Steph, I would recommend, like I said, going to your local, REI or outdoor retailer and testing out different gloves, because there are different brands out there. There's even like a brand, I forget the name right now, but they look like little claws, like little lobster claws. And I heard those are really quite warm. Melissa loves her Oboz Bridgers on the left. Yeah, those are really great and really warm. And also I want to add that Oboz has insulated foot foot pads. That's not the right word that I'm looking for, but insoles. There we go. They have insulated insoles now. So for people who get extra cold feet like I do, those can be game changers. So check that out. Okay, is wearing trail runners better than hiking shoes? I've heard shoes like Ultras are better, but what is general advice? Yeah, totally, Marina. If you want to wear trail runners, I'm all for it. I mean, again, it's going to really depend on your own comfort. I've done the John Muir Trail, and of course, tons of people doing the John Muir Trail are just wearing those kinds of like ultra lightweight shoes. So there's no issue with wearing those kinds of shoes. It's more about the conditions and your own personal foot needs. So that's why I say, like, I think as you continue in your journey, you're going to see what works and what doesn't work. Sometimes it's trial and error, truly, the only way to figure out what your own personal needs are. So I don't think there's a one size fits all. It's more about everyone and their own personal, even injuries, considering like some people have things that they need to consider for, people who have need orthotics and that kind of a thing. So hopefully that was helpful. All right, Melissa said, don't forget your hot hands packs for your toes and hands. Definitely. Thank you so much for all those great tips, Melissa. Another cool thing REI does, they'll let you wear your backpack in the store and add weights. Oh yes, Melissa, great tip. And she says you can add weight to the pack to help you determine if a shoe or boot is right. So now we were doing hiking 101 today, but if you're like me, as I started hiking more and more, I wanted to backpack. And so for me, when I go backpacking, I really don't like wearing those ultras. For me personally, I like to have the extra support and wear like a boot, something more sturdy, because I have a lot more weight on my pack. But yes, actually, I was at REI this past weekend looking for a new pack, and I found a pack at the REI used. They have like a used sale. And I really, at this point in my life, like I think I really like to try to keep stuff out of the landfill. So I actually was really interested in the pack, and I brought it over, and she added all the weights, 30 pounds. And that pack actually had a problem and was puncturing like right at the waist. So always a good tip to have them weight the pack for you so you could see how does it feel. And especially if you're going to look, that's a cool thing that you could buy some things used, and you could find really great deals sometimes, but without fully testing it out in store, like you might take it home and then realize, wow, this doesn't really work for me. So thank you for that tip, Melissa. Super awesome. Steph likes RX bars. Cool. Jennifer likes bringing nuts and jerky. Yolanda likes her Kind bars. Cynthia likes her Cliff bars. I like Cliff bars too. And I like the nut. They're like, they have like a nut butter filled one too that I really like bringing. That's like an extra treat. Easy to make energy bars from Judy. Yeah. Actually there's some really great, I used to make my own bars, really, truly, I energy balls with just a little bit of granola and chocolate chips, and you can add raisins, and it's quite easy to make. So really great tip, ladies. Trail mix, honey roast nuts, Target Tex-Mex trail mix. Awesome. Charnel likes to bring honey packs, bars, and trail mix. Very cool. Michelle likes pickles, cheese, nuts, beef sticks. Yeah, pickles are great, and they have extra salts in them. So if you get extra dehydrated, it's definitely a great snack to bring. Janice Smart added that for the Garmin InReach, she was able to purchase a secondhand one, which cut the cost in half. They have on the website on how to reset it so you can register it in your name. Yeah, do not underestimate like shopping secondhand. I'm all for it as well. And I do think that there is something to, once you know what you want, like don't, if you're comfortable with it, Facebook Marketplace, there's tons of other websites. Geartrade.com, I believe, is another one. Craigslist, even renting items from REI or other stores. You can usually rent like tents and snowshoes. Jennifer said, I've told everyone that I'm doing the challenge and have some out of state hikes planned. Awesome. Yeah, that's another really big goal that people have when they're doing the challenge is they really go like, hey, this challenge allowed me to see places I never thought possible. So, set some of those bucket list hikes on that vision board. And Steph wants to know, she hasn't seen anything about an Iowa chapter. Is there one? Yes, there is an Iowa chapter. Let me put the link in the chat right now for where you can find all of the chapters, and you can look through that. So just give me 1 second. This link is going to be a link to all of the Facebook chapters. And some of them this year last year we had over 75 events. So some of them are very, very active and have phenomenal leaders that are hosting hikes a couple times with in a year. So it's really, really, really exciting. Oh, Sherry, yay. Sherry's on the call. She's the leader for the Iowa chapter. Okay, please pick another name for the giveaway. Oh, okay. Okay, so someone else is gonna get lucky right now. Give me a sec. Melissa, you won. Melissa D. Yep.
No way.
Congrats.
That's amazing. I was actually looking at buying micro spikes because we actually have so much ice in Minnesota right now. I only have yak tracks, and
Yes.
yak tracks aren't always as friendly on ice. So really cool. I love it.
Email me and I'll get you hooked up.
Cool.
Okay. Jennifer said she went to a place called Fleet Feet to have her stride evaluated and got insoles that she put in her trail shoes. Awesome. Yeah. And by the way, that is another really great tip. I know it's getting a little late here, but whoever can stay on, like this conversation is really to help you to be successful on your journey. So don't underestimate changing out those insoles. There are super feet out there. They have different versions of insoles that are very helpful for different problems you might face. Some people have a higher arch, lower arch, etc. So they really can change your experience in your footwear. Steph said she bought some gloves at REI. They haven't worked for her hands in the frigid temperatures. Yeah, so one of the things when it's that really, if your hands are that cold, as Melissa was saying, I have actually used the hot hands. And what I do is I do have a pair of gloves that have a little zipper and I can put the hot hands in there and that really makes a difference. And then carry some extra ones in your pack because sometimes they stop working or sometimes if you shake them, they'll reactivate. So that's another really good tip. And in addition to that, like I said, maybe having multi layers. So get the top base, the shell glove bigger, and then use internal like smaller glove, and that is like you have now double the layers. So that's another idea you can try out. Oh yeah, Michelle said Swaney toaster mittens. That's what I actually own. The only thing is with those mittens, they're fantastic, but they're not good. They were not good for me in rain. And unfortunately, I had extreme conditions in on one of the treks that I did, and all of my stuff pretty much got completely soaked. Like we were in 3 days of intense rain. So that's the only thing. Like make sure you understand what kind of conditions you're going to be in. Um, yes, so that's a great tip. Thank you so much, Michelle. Yeah, Michelle said hers have lasted 12 years. Yeah, mine, I used them over this overnight trip, and I've had mine for I would say about 8 years now. Michelle says she has Gore-Tex oven over mitts for rain. Awesome. Thank you for that. And yeah, Steph, I'm sorry. Our groups are only on Facebook right now. Maybe in the future that will change, but that just happens to be the easiest way for us to have as many people on as possible to have a place to coordinate and meet and all of that. Also, don't forget, we have events that we post on our website and we put in our newsletter. So if we have events in Iowa, they will be listed under our events tab. And we do in our newsletter kind of like keep up with our events because there could be an event happening there in town and you don't need a Facebook for that. All right, let's see. For those that are sweaty ones, for winter, you can always wear your rain jacket over your base layers. So you're not loaded down with a parka, considering when it snows. So also, Melissa, adding to that, when people are purchasing that top layer, they may want to look for something that has what's called pit zips. And that helps you to let out, some of that moisture that tends to build. So look at something like that. That could be really good for you as well. All right. Cynthia said this has been great. And thanks so much. All right, everyone. I think we're down to the last comment. So I'm going to go ahead and stay on for just like a minute more. But otherwise, thank you all so much for joining. Wow. What a fantastic kickoff meeting. As I mentioned earlier, this meeting will be recorded and will be on YouTube in case you missed anything. And I will add links to links to the giveaway real quick and the retreat in case you are interested. So I will just add those up right now into the chat. And please join the giveaway because there's some really great prizes and share the challenge with your friends and family. It's, the challenge can be started at any point, and we really appreciate you all sharing the challenge with your friends and family. And we're a small and mighty team, and we appreciate all the support we can get. Okay, here we go. Here's the giveaway. All right. Thank you all so much. Welcome again. And I really am so thankful to have had you all from all over the United States and all your beautiful comments. Thank you. Thank you so much. All right, everyone. Well, have a good night, and I'll see you at the next meeting.